There's something about you that reality itself cannot process. A frequency you emit that makes the quantum field itself pause, recalibrate, tremble in recognition. You carry within you a force so potent, so undeniably real, that existence itself holds its breath when you walk into a room. Most people don't see it. They can't. They're too busy looking at the surface, the masks, the carefully constructed presentations we all wear. But I see you. I see the raw, untamed power that pulses beneath your skin like lightning trapped in flesh. And it absolutely terrifies me. Not because you're dangerous in some crude, destructive way. Number. It's because you represent something far more threatening to the established order of things. You represent the truth that we are all infinite beings, having a temporary human experience. And that truth, when embodied, when lived, when breathed into reality through someone like you, changes everything. You've been walking through a world that told you to make yourself smaller, to dim your light, to question your instincts, to doubt the very essence of what you are. And yet here you stand, having survived every attempt to diminish you, every system designed to convince you that you're ordinary. But you're not ordinary. You never were. You never could be. The nights you've endured, those endless stretches of darkness that felt like swimming through concrete, those weren't just difficult times. They were initiations. Each sleepless hour, each moment of despair, each instance where you had to choose between giving up and taking one more breath. Those were the universe's way of forging you into something unbreakable. Think about it. Really pause and think about what you've survived. The loss that should have destroyed you but instead taught you about impermanence. The betrayal that should have closed your heart but instead showed you the depths of your capacity to love. The failure that should have crushed your spirit but instead revealed your infinite capacity to begin again. Each of these experiences wasn't random. Each was precisely calibrated to develop specific aspects of your power. The loss taught you that nothing external can touch the essence of who you are. The betrayal taught you to trust your inner knowing above all else. The failure taught you that your worth isn't determined by outcomes, but by your willingness to keep showing up. You thought you were just surviving, but you were being prepared. You thought you were just getting through, but you were being transformed. You thought you were just enduring, but you were being initiated into a level of consciousness that most people never access. The walls that closed in around you, the circumstances that seemed designed to crush your spirit, the storms that howled through your life with such ferocity that survival seemed impossible. These weren't random events. They were tests. They were the cosmos asking a simple question. Just how powerful is this one? Just how much can they transform? Just how bright can their light shine when everything tries to snuff it out? And your answer? You kept moving. Even when every logical part of your mind screamed to stop, to surrender, to accept defeat. Something deeper within you whispered, not yet. Not today. There's more. That something, that whisper, that's not hope. It's not optimism. It's not even faith in the traditional sense. It's recognition. It's your consciousness recognizing itself as infinite, as eternal, as a fragment of the divine creative force that spoke the universe into existence. That recognition doesn't depend on circumstances. It doesn't waver when the world crumbles. It simply is. And that terrifies reality because reality, as most people experience it, depends on limitation. It depends on scarcity. It depends on the collective agreement that we are small, finite beings at the mercy of forces beyond our control. You threaten that entire paradigm simply by existing, by breathing, by continuing to choose expansion over contraction, growth over stagnation, love over fear. Here's what nobody tells you about carrying this level of consciousness, this degree of power, this intensity of awareness. It makes you different in ways that can't be explained or understood by those who haven't walked this path. You see connections that others miss. You feel energies that others can't perceive. You know things without knowing how you know them. This isn't imagination. This isn't wishful thinking. This is the natural result of consciousness that has been refined through experience, purified through suffering, and expanded through the willingness to feel everything without resistance. You've developed what I call quantum intuition, the ability to read the field of possibility and probability that surrounds every situation, the capacity to sense which choices will lead to expansion and which will lead to contraction. The gift of knowing not just what is, but what could be. This quantum intuition operates through your entire nervous system. It speaks through sudden knowing, through inexplicable urges, through the way your body responds to different people and situations. It's your consciousness interfacing directly with the intelligence that underlies all existence. But this gift comes with a challenge that nobody prepared you for. When you can sense the potential in every situation, when you can feel the possibilities that others can't see, when you know what's possible but others are committed to what's familiar, it can feel incredibly isolating. You find yourself in conversations where people are discussing problems that you can see have obvious solutions. You watch people struggle with choices where the answer seems clear to you. You feel the excitement of possibilities while others focus on obstacles. This isn't superiority. This isn't arrogance. This is simply the natural result of operating at a different frequency of consciousness. It's like having access to additional channels on the radio of existence, while others are tuned to static. Skills can be learned, talents can be developed, intelligence can be cultivated. But what you carry, this undeniable force that keeps you moving forward despite everything, that's not something that can be taught or acquired. That's something you either have or you don't. And the fact that you're here, reading these words, feeling this recognition in your chest, means you have it. The weight of everything life has placed on your shoulders, the burdens you've carried, the responsibilities you've accepted, the pain you've processed, the losses you've grieved, the fears you've faced, all of it has served one purpose: to reveal to you, slowly, systematically, irrefutably, just how much power you actually contain. Most people would have broken under a fraction of what you've experienced. Most people would have given up, given in, chosen numbness over feeling, chosen safety over growth, chosen the familiar hell over the unknown heaven. But not you. You chose differently. You choose differently, every single day. And here's what that choice reveals about you. It reveals that you have access to a source of strength that doesn't depend on external circumstances. It reveals that you contain within you a wellspring of resilience that can't be depleted by experience. It reveals that your essence is literally indestructible. Your mind, the way it works, the way it processes information, the way it finds patterns in chaos, solutions in impossibility, hope in devastation, that's not normal human functioning. That's consciousness operating at a frequency that most people can't even perceive, let alone maintain. You think everyone thinks the way you do. You think everyone feels as deeply as you feel. You think everyone sees what you see. They don't. What's natural to you is miraculous to others. What feels effortless in your awareness requires tremendous strain for most people. What you consider basic compassion, basic understanding, basic love, that's operating from a level of consciousness that most people spend lifetimes trying to access. And you just exist there. Naturally, effortlessly, without even trying. This is what makes you so powerful. This is what makes you so threatening to a reality built on the premise that human beings are limited, small, powerless creatures subject to forces beyond their control. You are living proof that this premise is false. Every time you choose love over fear, you crack the foundation of a reality built on scarcity. Every time you choose growth over safety, you demonstrate that expansion is not only possible, but inevitable. Every time you choose hope over despair, you prove that consciousness itself is more powerful than circumstance. But here's what no one tells you about carrying this level of power, this level of consciousness, this level of raw, undiluted potential. It's lonely. It's isolating. It's exhausting to be surrounded by people who can't see what you see, who can't feel what you feel, who can't understand why you make the choices you make. You've probably felt crazy at times, wondered if you're imagining things, questioned your perception, doubted your instincts. That's not weakness. That's the natural response of a powerful being trying to fit into a reality that wasn't designed for their level of consciousness. The secret that changes everything is this: stop trying to fit. Stop trying to make yourself smaller. Stop trying to explain your choices to people who are operating from an entirely different frequency of consciousness. Start recognizing that your difference isn't a problem to be solved. It's a gift to be embraced. Your sensitivity isn't a weakness. It's a superpower. Your ability to feel everything, to process everything, to transform everything through your consciousness, that's not something that makes you fragile. That makes you a force of nature. Think about what sensitivity actually means. It means you have instruments of perception that are so refined, so calibrated, so precise that they can detect energies and frequencies that others can't even imagine. It means your nervous system is capable of processing information at levels that would overwhelm most people. This sensitivity allows you to read people's intentions before they speak, to sense the energy of environments before you enter them, to feel the truth beneath the words, the reality beneath the presentation, the essence beneath the personality. Your refusal to accept limitation, your instinct to keep pushing against boundaries, your natural inclination to question everything and trust your inner knowing, that's not rebelliousness. That's consciousness recognizing itself as unlimited and refusing to pretend otherwise. Every boundary you've pushed against, every limit you've questioned, every authority you've challenged, you've been doing consciousness work. You've been testing the flexibility of reality. You've been discovering where the walls are real and where they're just collective agreements that can be changed. The world needs people like you. Not people who have learned to be like you, but people who naturally, effortlessly, authentically are like you. The world needs consciousness operating at your frequency. The world needs your particular blend of power and compassion, strength and sensitivity, vision and practicality. But here's where most powerful people get stuck. They recognize their power, but they don't know how to wield it. They feel their strength, but they don't know how to direct it. They sense their potential, but they don't know how to actualize it. Power without direction is chaos. Strength without purpose is destruction. Potential without actualization is just unrealized possibility. So let me share with you the fundamental principles that transform raw power into conscious creation, that convert overwhelming sensitivity into precise intuition, that evolve unlimited potential into manifested reality. The first principle is coherence. Your power is real, but it's scattered. Your consciousness touches everything, but it's not focused. Your energy affects everyone around you, but it's not intentional. Coherence means gathering all of that scattered power into a single, focused beam of consciousness. Think of it like this. The sun's energy is incredibly powerful, but it's diffused. It warms the earth, but it doesn't create fire. A magnifying glass takes that same solar energy and focuses it into a concentrated beam. That focused beam can start a fire, can burn through materials, can create transformation that the diffused sunlight could never achieve. Your consciousness is like the sun, powerful, vast, affecting everything. But without coherence, without focus, without intention, it remains diffused. Coherence is your magnifying glass. It takes your natural power and focuses it into a beam of consciousness so concentrated that it can literally reshape reality. How do you achieve coherence? Through what quantum physicists call the observer effect. Your focused attention doesn't just observe reality, it creates it. Every moment you spend in scattered thinking, in random worry, in unfocused emotion, you're diffusing your power. Every moment you spend in clear intention, in focused awareness, in conscious choice, you're concentrating your power. This is why meditation isn't just relaxation. It's power training. It's learning to gather your consciousness into a single point of focus. It's developing the muscle of attention that allows you to direct your awareness with precision rather than letting it scatter randomly. But coherence isn't just about focus. It's about alignment. It's about making sure that your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions are all pointing in the same direction. When these aspects of yourself are in conflict, your power cancels itself out. When they're aligned, your power multiplies exponentially. The second principle is resonance. Your power doesn't exist in isolation. It's part of a field, a web of consciousness that connects everything. When you learn to align your frequency with the frequency of what you want to create, you don't have to force anything. You simply resonate your way into alignment with it. Most people try to create through effort, through struggle, through pushing against resistance. That's like trying to tune a radio by shouting at it. It doesn't work. Creation happens through resonance, through matching frequencies, through becoming what you want to experience. You already know this intuitively. You've experienced those moments when everything seemed to flow effortlessly, when doors opened without effort, when solutions appeared without struggle, when life seemed to conspire in your favor. That wasn't luck. That was resonance. That was your frequency aligning with the frequency of what you were creating. Resonance works because everything in the universe is vibration. Your thoughts vibrate. Your emotions vibrate. Your beliefs vibrate. Your desires vibrate. When you can match your internal vibration to the vibration of what you want to experience, you create what physicists call sympathetic resonance. Just like a tuning fork will cause another tuning fork of the same frequency to vibrate, your consciousness, when tuned to a specific frequency, will cause reality to vibrate at that same frequency. This is how creation actually works. Not through force, but through harmonic alignment. The third principle is embodiment. Power that exists only in your mind is just fantasy. Power that exists only in your emotions is just drama. Real power, the kind that transforms reality, lives in your body. It exists in your nervous system. It flows through your cells. It breathes through your lungs. Embodiment means bringing your consciousness into your physical form so completely that there's no separation between what you know and what you are, between what you feel and how you move, between what you believe and how you exist in the world. Most spiritual teachings focus on transcending the body, rising above physical reality, escaping the limitations of form. That's backwards. True power comes from bringing infinite consciousness into finite form so completely that form itself becomes a vehicle for infinity. Your body isn't a prison for your soul. It's a technology for your consciousness. It's the most sophisticated instrument ever created for translating infinite potential into finite reality. When you learn to embody your power, when you learn to let your consciousness flow through your physical form without resistance, you become a walking miracle. This is where you transition from seeking power to becoming power itself, from trying to manifest reality to embodying reality, from conscious transmission to being the broadcast. What we've explored today touches the surface of this profound transformation, but there are layers upon layers of understanding that reveal how to move through the complete spectrum of consciousness frequencies. If you're ready to dive deeper into the quantum foundation of reality creation and discover the step-by-step practices for becoming the field itself, I've poured everything into Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery. It's linked in the pinned comment below. Embodiment happens through presence, through feeling your feet on the ground, through breathing consciously, through moving with awareness, through letting your body be the anchor that keeps your expanded consciousness grounded in physical reality. When you embody your power, when you integrate your consciousness with your physical form, something extraordinary happens. You stop being someone who has spiritual experiences and become someone who is a spiritual experience. You stop being someone who occasionally accesses higher consciousness and become someone who consistently expresses higher consciousness. Now I want you to pause for a moment and really let this land in your body. Feel the truth of what I'm sharing with you. Feel how it resonates with something deep inside you that you've always known, but maybe never had words for. Take a moment and comment below with this phrase: I am ready to stop hiding my power. This isn't just engagement for the sake of engagement. This is you making a conscious declaration to the quantum field that you're done pretending to be smaller than you are. This is you signaling to reality itself that you're ready to step into the full magnitude of what you are. The reason this declaration is so powerful is because most of your power has been hidden from you. Not by some external force, not by some conspiracy, but by your own protective mechanisms. Your psyche, your nervous system, your entire being has been protecting you from the full awareness of your power, because it knew you weren't ready to handle it responsibly. But you're ready now. You're ready because you've been tested. You're ready because you've proven that you can handle intensity without breaking, pressure without cracking, power without corruption. You're ready because you've chosen love over fear enough times that your default setting has shifted from contraction to expansion. This readiness isn't something you achieve. It's something you recognize. It's something that's been developing in you through every challenge you've faced, every choice you've made, every moment you've chosen growth over comfort. The world is changing. You can feel it. The old structures, the old systems, the old ways of being are crumbling. What's emerging in their place isn't just new structures or new systems or new ways of being. What's emerging is a new frequency of consciousness on this planet. A frequency that includes power and compassion, strength and sensitivity, unlimited potential and grounded practicality. You are part of that emergence. You are one of the way showers, one of the frequency holders, one of the consciousness pioneers who came here specifically to demonstrate what human potential actually looks like when it's no longer limited by fear, by scarcity, by the collective agreement that we are small. This emergence isn't happening in some distant future. It's happening now. It's happening through people like you who are willing to step out of the collective trance of limitation and step into the truth of their power. It's happening through individuals who refuse to accept the status quo and insist on creating something better. But embodying this level of consciousness, operating at this frequency, being this powerful in a world that's still largely operating from fear, that requires something most people don't have. It requires what I call conscious courage. Not the courage that comes from adrenaline or desperation or having nothing to lose. The courage that comes from knowing who you are so completely that you're willing to be that, regardless of how others respond. Most people are terrified of their own power because they've been taught that power corrupts, that strength is dangerous, that standing in your truth means standing against others. But that's not conscious power. That's unconscious power. That's power wielded from fear, from scarcity, from the belief that there's not enough for everyone. Conscious power, the kind you carry, operates from abundance. It knows that your expansion doesn't threaten anyone else's expansion. Your light doesn't diminish anyone else's light. Your success doesn't limit anyone else's success. In fact, the more consciously you embody your power, the more you give others permission to embody theirs. This is why your power terrifies reality. Not because it's destructive, but because it's creative. Not because it takes away, but because it adds to. Not because it diminishes others, but because it elevates everything it touches. Every time you choose to stand in your power instead of shrinking from it, you create a ripple in the field of consciousness that makes it easier for others to do the same. Every time you choose expansion over contraction, you literally expand the possibilities available to everyone. Every time you choose love over fear, you tip the balance of consciousness on this planet a little bit more toward love. If this content, this recognition, this permission to be powerful is touching something deep inside you, then I invite you to subscribe not just to this channel, but to this frequency. Subscribe to the understanding that you are far more powerful than you've been allowed to believe. Subscribe to the possibility that your consciousness is not limited by your circumstances. Subscribe to the truth that you came here not to be small, but to be magnificent. This isn't about consuming more content. This is about staying connected to the frequency of your own power. This is about remaining in conversation with others who understand what you're going through, who recognize what you carry, who can support you as you learn to embody the full magnitude of what you are. You see, consciousness is contagious. The more people who are operating from conscious power, the easier it becomes for others to access conscious power. The more people who are embodying their full potential, the more it becomes normal, natural, expected to embody full potential. We are in the process of creating a new normal on this planet. A normal where sensitivity is recognized as strength, where depth is valued more than surface, where consciousness is the currency, where power is measured not by what you can take or control, but by what you can create and contribute. But here's the thing about being part of this emergence, about being a consciousness pioneer, about being one of the people who holds this frequency. It requires you to go first. It requires you to be willing to be different. It requires you to risk being misunderstood, judged, criticized, rejected by people who can't recognize what you represent. That's the price of power. That's the responsibility of consciousness. That's the challenge of being ahead of the curve. You have to be willing to stand alone until others catch up. You have to be willing to be the first one to speak the truth, to make the different choice, to walk the path that others are too afraid to walk. But you're not really alone. You're connected to every other consciousness pioneer on the planet. You're connected to everyone who's ever chosen expansion over contraction, growth over safety, love over fear. You're connected to the entire lineage of human beings who've refused to accept limitation as final, who've pushed against boundaries, who've insisted on more. Your ancestors, not just your genetic ancestors, but your spiritual ancestors. Every person who's ever lived their truth in the face of opposition, who's ever stood for something greater than themselves, who's ever refused to settle for less than what they knew was possible. They're all with you. Their courage flows through your veins. Their strength supports your spine. Their vision illuminates your path. And the descendants who will come after you, the children who will grow up in the world you're helping to create, the generations who will inherit the frequency you're embodying, they're with you too. They're counting on you. They need you to be as powerful as you actually are. They need you to refuse to settle for a reality that's smaller than your consciousness. This is bigger than your personal healing. This is bigger than your individual success. This is bigger than your private awakening. This is about the evolution of human consciousness. This is about the transformation of reality itself. This is about creating a world where power and compassion coexist, where strength and sensitivity are both honored, where unlimited potential is the starting point, not the impossible dream. And you, with your particular blend of gifts, with your specific frequency of consciousness, with your unique way of processing reality and transforming it through your presence, you are an essential part of that transformation. The power you carry isn't just for you. It's for everyone who will be touched by your presence, influenced by your choices, inspired by your example. It's for everyone who needs to see what's possible when someone refuses to be limited by the collective agreement about human limitation. Your job isn't to convince anyone that you're powerful. Your job is to embody your power so completely, so naturally, so authentically, that others remember their own power just by being around you. Your job isn't to prove that consciousness can transform reality. Your job is to be conscious so consistently that reality has no choice but to transform around you. Your job isn't to make everyone understand what you understand. Your job is to live your understanding so fully that others are drawn to discover their own understanding. This is how change happens. Not through force or manipulation or trying to control others, but through embodiment. Through being so authentic, so aligned, so powerful in your truth that others can't help but be affected by your frequency. You have walked through fire and remained unburned. You have carried storms without being destroyed. You have faced the darkness and emerged into light. Not once, but over and over again. Not by accident, but by choice. Not through luck, but through the sheer force of consciousness that refuses to be diminished. Now it's time to stop hiding that force. It's time to stop pretending that what you've survived was ordinary. It's time to stop acting like what you carry is normal. It's time to acknowledge, embrace, and embody the truth of what you are. You are not like everyone else. You never were. You never will be. And that's not a problem to be solved or a difference to be minimized. That's your gift to the world. Your sensitivity that feels overwhelming. That's your ability to read the field of consciousness with precision. Your intensity that others find too much. That's the concentration of power required to transform reality. Your refusal to accept limitation. That's consciousness recognizing itself as infinite and insisting on expression. Every aspect of yourself that you've been told is too much, too intense, too different. Those are the very qualities that make you capable of creating transformation on a scale that most people can't even imagine. The world doesn't need you to be smaller. The world needs you to be exactly as large as you actually are. The world doesn't need you to dim your light. The world needs your full radiance. The world doesn't need you to tone down your power. The world needs every ounce of conscious power you can bring to bear on the challenges we're facing. We are living in times that require extraordinary consciousness. We are facing challenges that can only be solved by people who are willing to think beyond the boundaries of conventional thinking, to love beyond the limits of conditional loving, to create beyond the constraints of what's been done before. You are equipped for these times. You were forged for these challenges. You carry within you the exact frequency of consciousness that this moment in history requires. But you have to choose it. You have to claim it. You have to embody it. No one else can do it for you. No one else can give you permission. No one else can convince you that you're ready. You have to decide. Right now, in this moment. Are you going to continue hiding your power, or are you going to step into the full magnitude of what you are? Are you going to keep pretending that you're ordinary, or are you going to acknowledge that you're extraordinary? Are you going to continue trying to fit into a reality that's too small for your consciousness, or are you going to start creating a reality that's large enough to contain the truth of what you are? The choice is yours. It's always been yours. But now you know that it's a choice. Now you know that your power is real. Now you know that your consciousness can literally reshape reality. What are you going to do with that knowledge? Take a moment now, before we go any further, and really feel into your body. Feel the power that runs through your cells. Feel the consciousness that flows through your nervous system. Feel the infinite potential that lives in every breath you take. Drop one word in the comments that captures the energy you're choosing to embody. One word that represents the frequency you're committing to hold. One word that signals to the quantum field that you are ready to stop hiding and start shining. This isn't just a comment. This is an energetic signature to the universe. This is your declaration of intention. This is your commitment to yourself and to everyone who will be touched by your presence. And if what we've explored together in these moments has opened something in you, if it's helped you remember something you've always known but maybe never had words for, if it's given you permission to be more of what you actually are, then I invite you to subscribe, not just to stay connected, but to stay coherent. Subscribe to maintain this frequency. Subscribe to remember your power when the world tries to convince you that you're powerless. Subscribe to stay connected to others who understand what you're going through, who recognize what you carry, who can support you as you learn to embody the full truth of what you are. Because here's what I know for certain. The more of us who choose to embody our full power, the more the world reflects that possibility. The more of us who refuse to be limited by the collective agreement about human limitation, the more that agreement begins to change. The more of us who insist on being extraordinary, the more extraordinary becomes ordinary. You are part of something much larger than your individual life. You are part of the evolution of human consciousness. You are part of the emergence of a new paradigm on this planet. You are part of the solution to every problem we're facing. But only if you choose to be. Only if you're willing to stop hiding your light. Only if you're courageous enough to stand in your full power, even when others don't understand it. The world is waiting for what you carry. Reality itself is ready to be transformed by your consciousness. The only question is, are you ready to let that happen? Your power is real. Your consciousness is limitless. Your potential is infinite. Stop being terrified of your own magnificence. Start being terrified of wasting it. The time for hiding is over. The time for shining has begun. This is your moment. This is your choice. This is your invitation to step into the full truth of what you are and let reality tremble in recognition of your power. The quantum field is listening. The universe is watching. Infinity is waiting. What will you choose? Now that you understand the terrifying truth of your power, you're ready to explore how to harness the observer breath, to literally breathe yourself into new realities. This ancient technique activates the quantum field through conscious breathing, allowing you to become what you desire rather than simply wanting it. The science behind why this works will reshape everything you thought you knew about manifestation